Welcome, and greetings to all. I am Shen Long Pen Dragon, the Lore Master. So as always, a quick disclaimer. I don't own any of the images or the story in this video. The credit for these all belong to their original sources. So to recap on last time, I discussed the legend of the red and white dragons. Today, I shall tell you the legend of the Morrigan, the Phantom Queen of Ireland. In the beginning, there were three sisters, the three Morrigan. Badub, the Crow Mother. She flew over the battlefield, inspiring fear and confusion in the warriors below. Magh, she who was the sovereign and governed over the land, war, kingship, horses, and fertility. And then there was Niamh, the spirit woman, she who embodied the frenzied havoc of war. Together, they were also known as the three land goddesses, Eru, Banba, and Folda. Their powers have long been associated with those of the Banshee. The three of them together are the daughters of Emrys and granddaughters of Nuda, and are listed among the Tuireadh de Danann. Three sisters eventually came to the realization that their powers alone were insufficient, and thus they made the hard decision to meld together into a single being. Thus the Morrigan was born. At times she appears as a tall woman with dark hair. In others, she is the old woman, a hag, washing the bloodied armor of men who are to die in battle. She is the maiden of war and fate, the very manifestation of the earth and sovereignty. Sometimes she is the crow, spreading fear and confusion through the battlefields of Ireland, driving men into a frenzied havoc, causing death and destruction wherever she flies. As the crow, she guides the souls of the dead to the other world, so that they may sleep eternally. At other times, she is the wolf, a terrifying guardian of nature, punishing any who are foolish enough to desecrate her hallowed land. Many know the Morrigan, and all fear her, for as a mother, she is the bringer of life, and as a warrior, she is the harbinger of death. Many are the tales of the Morrigan, but few are as well documented as her encounter with Cú Chulainn, the Hound of Cullen. Cú Chulainn was a proud man. In times of war, he carried spear, shield, and sword in defense of his homeland, Ulster. In times of peace, he was a simple farmer, a shepherd, tending to his livestock as a devoted father might care for their children. One day, he walked among his herds, content that all was right with the world. Then he saw a stranger attempting to steal a heifer, one of his cows. Angered, Cú Chulainn shouted, insulting the stranger and challenging him to fight. He drew his sword and approached, but as he came close, the stranger transformed into a crow and took flight, alighting in a tree. On a nearby branch, the crow turned its black eyes towards him. Realizing what he was seeing, Cú Chulainn bowed his head. "Forgive me, Morrigan, for had I known it was you, I would not have acted so hastily." "Fear not, Cú Chulainn, Hound of Cullen, for I cannot hurt you now. Your only crime has been to defend that what is yours. You are merely defending your land and herds as any shepherd would. But be warned, for a battle is coming. It is at the guarding of thy death that I am, and I shall be. Cú Chulainn disregarded the warning, not believing that any warrior could defeat him in battle. Yet it was not long after that Queen Medb of Connacht invaded Ulster. Her aim was to steal the bull Don Culgar. In the form of a crow, the Morrigan warned the bull, telling him to flee. So the bull fled further into Ulster, and Queen Medb's armies gave chase, eventually arriving at the fjord where Cú Chulainn had made his home. Cú Chulainn met the enemy there, ready to defend against Medb's 4 champions. The first champion met Cú Chulainn on the field of battle in single combat. Cú Chulainn defeated him and returned to his flocks, worried that the fighting may have frightened them off. To his relief, it had not. However, among the herds, he found a beautiful woman waiting for him. "Hello, young warrior, so strong and handsome. I offer my love and aid in battle." Cú Chulainn adamantly refused. "Forgive me, my lady, but I am a proud man, and my honour will not allow me to accept help in this battle. It is the way of a warrior to meet his enemy head-on in single combat, and win against all odds." Insulted by the rejection, Morrigan decided to play a game with Cú Chulainn. She would interfere with his fights, and then see if he needed her help or not. So, as the second champion took to the field of battle, Cú Chulainn rushed to meet him, not knowing that the Morrigan lay in wait. In the tall grass, she took the form of an eel and caused Cú Chulainn to trip. Angered, he slashed at the eel and continued on with the battle. Thus the second champion of Medb fell. In his fight against the third champion, Cú Chulainn noticed that his herds were stampeding in panic across the fjord. It was then that he noticed a wolf was chasing them. Angered, he realized the Morrigan had once again tricked him. He attacked the wolf, seeing her off, and then continued on to defeat the third champion. At last came time for his battle against Medb's fourth champion. However, he saw to his dismay that his cattle were still stampeding, and wondered why. Medb's armies had not actively threatened them, and there were no more wolves to chase off. Then he saw that the Morrigan was once again responsible. She was leading the stampede as a red-eared cow. Angered, he slashed at her leg, wounding her for a third time. "Begone, Morrigan! Leave my lands! I will never heal your wounds, and I will not permit you to steal my cattle." Cú Chulainn then continued on with the fight and defeated the fourth champion. When he returned to his cattle, hoping to quiet them down and gather them in one place, he found that an old woman was beside them, milking one of the cows. She offered him 3 drinks of milk, which he accepted, grateful. As he drank, he blessed her, unknowing that he healed the Morrigan's wounds. As he drank from the 3rd teat, the wound on her leg healed. The Morrigan gave him a wry smile. "You told me once that you would never heal me. Had I known it was you, I never would have." And so the armies gathered for the final battle. As Cú Chulainn rode forth, he saw the Morrigan foretelling the bloodshed that was to come. As he neared the battlefield, he saw the old hag washing his bloodied armour in a river, and knew that this was an omen of his death, and that today he would die. Amidst the fighting, mortally wounded, Cú Chulainn found a standing stone and tied himself to it, determined to die upright with pride as a warrior. It was then that a crow landed on his shoulder. and it was only then that his enemies truly believed that the Morrigan had come for his soul, and that Cú Chulainn, the Hound of Cullen, had finally died. The legend of the Morrigan again resurfaces at the Battle of Magh. One day, the Morrigan stood in the river Uranus, of which she was the creator, washing herself in the cooling water. Then her kinsman Dagda rode by. He dismounted his horse and indicated to her that he wished to speak. "Greetings, Dagda. Why have you sought me out on this morning?" "You are no doubt aware, Morrigan, that the Foreign King, Indesh, has launched an invasion of our territories and seeks our destruction." The Morrigan giggled and gave him her wolfish smile. "But of course, I am the Morrigan, and nothing in this country happens without me hearing about it." Dagda nodded, glad that he did not have to explain further. "Then you are no doubt aware that we require aid. I have come to ask for your help." The Morrigan cocked her head. "Is that so? Well then, if you grant my wish, then I shall grant yours." After the two of them couple, the Morrigan swears to aid in the battle, summoning the magicians of Ireland to war. "Fear not, my kinsman, for I will also destroy Indesh, and take from him his heart's blood and kidneys of valor, and drop them in this river." Upon the day of battle, Morrigan appeared as promised, leading the magicians of Ireland. Her poems and chants filled the air even over the screams and clashing of metal. Her spells broke the Foreman formation, allowing the rest of her kin to drive them into the sea. Amidst the fighting, she lured away the bull woman Ordas to the other world, where she made her fall asleep and turned her into a pool that now feeds the river Shannon. Morrigan's actions on that day allowed her fellow kinsman, Magh, to slay Indesh. Her chants and poems of celebration at the end of the battle were not just solely to congratulate the warriors on their victory, but also to warn them of the world's end that would one day approach. Sometime later, the Morrigan returned to the river Uranus and dropped 2 handfuls of blood into its watery depths. Thus ends the legend of the Morrigan. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, then please remember to like and subscribe for more lore, myths, legends, and stories. I do apologize for any mispronunciations of the Celtic language that were in this video. My Celtic is not very good. I am Shenlong Pendragon, and until next time, remember, knowledge is power.